Greetings and welcome everyone to a new PRLostGalaxy2014 vlog rather than a podcast. And today we're going to talk about my Power Rangers Lost Galaxy fan film of recent, Power Rangers Lost Galaxy: The Wrath of Trakeena. Okay, this is it. So now for those who saw the fan film just recently, even at the time of this vlog recording, it has taken me a long time to make the fan film, and I hope to see what you guys thought of it. Bear in mind, for those watching the vlog, if you want to hear my personal thoughts about the fan film, along with some spoiler warnings, watch the fan film first and then come back to this vlog. If you haven't seen my fan film, The Power Rangers Lost Galaxy: The Wrath of Trakeena, if you've seen the trailer on my YouTube channel, if you haven't watched the fan film by now, what the heck you've been doing all this time? So, but whatever. Anyway, I want to tell you guys deep down how I really personally feel about working on Wrath of Trakeena and why it took me so long to make the film. So, apparently, Power Rangers Lost Galaxy: The Wrath of Trakeena, this was my most ambitious fan film I would ever make, despite, the characters are paper dolls, roll with it if you don't like the medium of it. And not only that, in terms of the fan film being the very first Power Rangers fan film to go on longer than an hour. Because, you see, the thing is, compared to all the usual indie filmmakers, no-budget filmmakers, and, whatever the like, I wanted to do a Power Rangers fan film that was pretty much in the vein of a 3-hour epic, if you will. And I wanted to do a 3-hour long Lost Galaxy fan film because I thought, if you figured that when I did 2 recent videos of my Terra Venture podcast videos, that being the Legacy Universe fan film ideas podcast episode, and then my personal history of Power Rangers video that I posted earlier this year, I figured I was going to do a 3-hour long fan film of Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, which evidently is 3 hours long. Now, I know some people, once they clicked on the fan film, and it's on my channel now, some of you are a little wary about the runtime and why is it 3 hours long. Well, for those who may not know in the fandom, it has taken me 8 freaking years to make this thing. And for those who may know of me as, various, internet personalities in the fandom, Ranger Media Guide 2010 on Ranger Wiki back in 2010, 2011, until that stuff was deleted in 2012. And then Anthony Marsh 1, when I had some of the unedited, unproduced, such and such footage of my original Rise of Trakeena project, until I deleted that footage and then recently showed that lost footage in recent podcasts and so forth. It has taken me a long time to get Power Rangers Lost Galaxy: The Rise of Trakeena, made. And another thing I need to come out to say this. The Rise of Trakeena the whole time was actually a working title the whole time. So the official title of the fan film devoted to Trakeena and Power Rangers Lost Galaxy was actually The Wrath of Trakeena. Because Rise of Trakeena, since basically it was going to be that film, if you've seen the G.I. Joe and Power Rangers video I did months ago, check that video out where I discussed talking about what my Rise of Trakeena fan film was supposed to be 8 years ago. When I started being in the Power Rangers fandom online 8 years ago, directly in 2010, but no later in the year. And when I did that, I said that my original attempt and my original, vision and inspiration for the fan film originally, before I shut it down and then reworked it all these recent years later, that the fan film was going to be like G.I. Joe, The Rise of Cobra meets Power Rangers Lost Galaxy. I mean, you heard what I said in that video. Go check that out. But when I said so, and then based on all the behind the scenes crap that was going on, the fan film was supposed to be that type, but then it ended up being totally something else down the road. And there were other reasons why I abandoned The Rise of Trakeena earlier in the decade, years later. Because when I originally worked on it back in my old high school, 8 years ago, guys, it was going to be like the G.I. Joe of Power Ranger fan films. Not G.I. Joe, that cartoon from the 80s, that for any G.I. Joe fan listening about that tangent here. I'm talking about G.I. Joe, the live action movies, but in terms of any of the live action ones, the first one that had Sienna Miller as the Baroness, Joseph Gordon-Levitt as Cobra Commander, Doctor, whatever, so forth, Rex Lewis. That one. And Marlon Wayne's in it. But I mean that G.I. Joe movie, not the one we got 5 years ago, 5 years later with The Rock in them in it. I mean the G.I. Joe movie before that, Rise of Cobra, from 2009. And you see, considering that I was just starting out making videos and movies and videos and stuff for YouTube, the fan film was going to be my very first movie, since due to the fact that I was just around the point of my last year in high school, my last year in going to school in general, and also to tell the truth, high school sucks, and it sucked. I was doing video production senior year. I couldn't do it junior year because it's gonna be hard to say, but I'll save that for another day. I took video production senior year and got inspired because of all the years I've dreamt of making videos and making movies. And even what I'm doing here for YouTube, I really wanted to make movies because I had that bug, that little passionate, that artistic bug in me to make what I wanted. And so when I was doing the video production thing in high school, and the short film stuff, I was doing Power Rangers Lost Galaxy: The Rise of Trakeena at the same time, back in its original stages, back at the high school, at my old high school. But then, as soon as due to some behind the scenes tumult in terms of what I was wanting to have for Trakeena, and in terms of the person I wanted to play Trakeena until she bailed, and then all this other crazy crap that was going on behind the scenes, I had no choice but to cancel Rise of Trakeena in 2012. Even though, 2011, I kind of kept it quiet because due to the fact I was supposed to have the fan film out in time for 2011, but here I am, 2018, 2011 me, I couldn't, me in 2011, I couldn't get the film out when it was supposed to, and also, I was also lacking all kinds of things to make the film sort of believable, so that's why I had to shut the film down when I did, and that's why I did that 2014 fan film of Power Rangers Lost Galaxy that you guys partly saw, the crappy piss poor version that I shot in front of a TV screen. But don't worry, I am working right now at the time of this video vlog is on the process on trying to re-upload, but actually more like upload a complete cut of my first Power Rangers Lost Galaxy fan film from 4 years ago. Power Rangers Lost Galaxy 2014, the one that people were bitching on me about. I'm thinking about re-uploading the first fan film, which also includes, of course, the alternate music score plus the new added footage never seen in my original version of the fan film. Okay, but about Wrath of Trakeena, this was, like I said, it was an ambitious film that I've worked on. And for starters, it was a fan film that took me this long, all decade. But here I am in 2018 since I had the passion and commitment to do this fan film, this one in particular. 8 years has been a lot. And ever since I was 18 years old 8 years ago, I had the ambition to put this film out. And wanted to put it out. But you see, when we had the Neo Saban era, when Samurai and them aired, okay, the reason why I didn't want to put my fan films out sooner is because considering how when Saban, for those who have been watching all those following and such of those other people's Power Ranger fan films, the ones with the high concept Hollywood producer looking films, like MMPR and Power/Rangers. when you think back to when those fan films came out, Power/Rangers, I said, is not a fan film because the person who directed it, but not the person who produced it, is not a fan. I forgot. Sorry, Power/Rangers is not actually a fan film because, again, the person who made it is not an actual fan. But the person who produced it, though, sorry. You know, when MMPR and those other Power Ranger fan films were coming out, when I was doing the 2014 Lost Galaxy film, for those who shitted on me for doing a paper doll film earlier in the past, you know, Saban was going to get on the people behind MMPR, and of course people like, you know, those that worked on Power Rangers with Saban, like David Fielding, who played Zordon, Robert Axelrod, who played the voice of Lord Zed, and Ron Wasserman, who made music for Power Rangers throughout a few seasons, like Mighty Morphin Zeo, In Space, and SPD, and in his Mystic Force demos. He was going to do the music score for that fan film of MMPR, but things didn't fell through though. But of course, that fan film never saw the light of day. But yet, fan films like Zordon of Eltar, Teenagers with Attitude, and some others have made it. Whereas my fan film was probably in the dark, because I knew that once I put the film up, and then for those who saw the different uploads of it in front of that TV screen 3 times, yeah, deep down I should have released what was the actual thing, and not like what was already been put together already but shot in front of a crappy retro TV screen. So that's why I'm working on trying to re-upload the whole first movie, but with, again, the new added footage that was never included in my original cut of the film, and as well as the music change and retweaks and edits and stuff. But Wrath of Trakeena was just that. You see, it has taken me all these years to make it. And I made it clear with the disclaimer screen and stuff that I do not own the rights to Power Rangers. I'm not making these movies for money. There is no money involved with these movies or anything. And also, as for the paper dolls with the actor faces of, like, Maggie Sif and all that for Trakeena and all that, that's just me just making paper doll, like South Park. When for those who watch South Park, when you watch South Park, and when they would have celebrities lampooned, like Steven Spielberg or Mel Gibson or J.J. Abrams or Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama or Kim Kardashian, and those celebrities that have been parodied on South Park. So apparently, I guess let's put it that way, that my fan films of Power Rangers Lost Galaxy was influenced by South Park, where you have celebrities in your little thing, and then want to make fun of how the celebrities are in real life sometimes. But actually, with the sort of parody, however, I wanted to take it seriously, because I know that the last fan film I've worked on was the last fan film of Lost Galaxy I did was too much of a parody deep down. So, well, the original cut was a parody. So this new cut of the first film I'm going to have up sometime once July is up, likely. I'm trying to tone down what was stupid about my original cut of that from 4 years ago, and try to, I have been doing some reshoots on my first movie, even though it's 4 years too late. It's not 2014 anymore, though. And I really wanted to, go by what I originally envisioned for my first movie with this new cut coming out. While there's still some bits of the campiness of Power Rangers into the fan film from movie 1. Movie 2, you still got some of it for those who saw it, but again, I was doing some personal. I really took this as a personal project with this one, as opposed to 2014. Okay, so the premise for Power Rangers Lost Galaxy: The Wrath of Trakeena is, you see, the story, if you've seen the synopsis on the video, which has the film in it, because I know 3 hours long. If you don't want to watch the movie for 3 hours, you can just stop it, watch the first hour one day and come back and watch the next 2 hours the next day or something like that, or don't watch the whole thing at all if you're not into 3 hour long videos. And now, if the fan film, most usual fan films, if they were usually if the fan film was 50 minutes like that Zordon of Eltar fan film that Cisco Davis and them did a couple years ago. Maybe I could have did a 50-minute version of the fan film before I did an even more extended 1 hour, 2 hour version or something like that. I don't know. But I just wanted to do something ambitious that no other Power Rangers fan and filmmakers that, you know, in the fandom that is a Power Rangers fan has ever done. Because we've never even had a full-length fan film. Most fan films are always shorts, you know, like 10-minute short films, 14-minute, 15-minute, 25, 35-minute short films, 50 minutes, whatever. But I took the audacity and the commitment to do a 3-hour fan film epic of Power Rangers Lost the Galaxy with Trakeena's name titled as Build. And I really felt that I should be grateful that I made it. But the truth is, guys, I think all this time looking back, after I finished filming it last summer when I wrapped up, aside from the reshoots in the fall, but that's not relevant. But I mean, like, official, the main stuff of filming. I just think that deep down, how I got a little burnt out about this Trakeena centric fan film thing. It started a little bit last year for those who played Power Rangers Legacy Wars and still. And remember when once they started representing any characters from Lost Galaxy, you know, Trakeena was the first character to be represented in Legacy Wars last year. Because at that same time, Lost Galaxy cast members, obviously Amy Roll and Reggie Roll, who played Damon and Trakeena in Lost Galaxy on, you know, Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, the show, not this, but the show, their season. Amy and Reggie had a convention at one point last year, and around that point, when the M-Way guys, you know, when they reveal what next character or Ranger or villain was going to be in Power Rangers Legacy Wars, it was going to be Trakeena. So at this rate, now, for those who may not know, and those who do know, that Lost Galaxy is my favorite Power Rangers series, and is one of my favorite seasons of the show, or probably my only favorite season of the show outside of Mighty Morphin. But, even though, yeah, I did watch Zeo, Turbo, Space and them, but Lost Galaxy just always been there for me. But the thing is, when Trakeena was revealed as one of the first non-Mighty Morphin villains to be added into Power Rangers Legacy Wars, when I finished filming Wrath of Trakeena, June 3rd of last year, I started to feeling a sense of burnout from Trakeena, and I started to have some sort of Trakeena and Lost Galaxy fatigue. So you can tell that when you get to the climax of the movie, I'm not going to spoil it to you. You gotta watch the fan film for yourself until I tell you what happened. And when you get to the point, because the finale part of the fan film is around the 3-hour mark, so you'll see what I meant by that. And you see, I was under a lot of burnout about Trakeena because I think of all the years I went around obsessing about Trakeena for the last 6 years while doing the fan film, and also trying to embrace my passion for Power Rangers and being nostalgic for a few of the older seasons, particularly the ones from the original Saban shows. When we had the Neo Saban seasons, even though also some news here that I forgot to tell you guys following the fan film's release and this vlog, Saban Brands is finally gone. Thank God. So that means I don't have to worry about no copyright claims from Saban. But even though Toei, if they want to be dicks to me about me, you know, fan dubbing some Sentai footage for some Power Ranger fan dubs they'll probably do in the future, bring it, because I'm going to have some serious talk with Toei about this. Yeah, so, but anyway, but Saban's gone. So, when I did the last of the fan film around spring of last year to early June, I started having a sense of fatigue from Trakeena and her character. You know, I think of all the years I've devoted my time as a Power Rangers fan and as myself you know, Anthony Marsh Jr., someone who is a Power Rangers fan in Maryland, it's like I had such a hard time trying to make this fan film happen. Because I guess deep down I was being a bit too much of a big Trakeena fanboy than anybody else would know, considering I've never met the actors who played the tickler bug-headed, the bug-themed villainess from Lost Galaxy. And I don't think I ever will in real life at a convention like well, I don't know if she will be at this year's Morphicon, but we'll find out if I hear any, announcements for any Power Ranger actors guest appearing at Morphicon this month coming up in August. But I just think that the fascination of Trakeena's character that I've done was a little deranged and demented, and I felt that I got a little too fixated on her, considering to the fact the reason why I did the fan film and for the long amount of time I tried to make it. For those who may not know that, if you reflect back to the team up of Lightspeed Rescue from, at this point now, 18 years, since it's been 18 years now since Lightspeed Rescue, and yeah, it's been a long time since that season. And when you think back to the team up between the Galaxy and the Lightspeed Rangers, you know darn well I did not like Trakeena's revenge. And 18 years later, I still don't like the team up. And yes, I already know and acknowledge why Amy didn't come back to play Trakeena. Because again, the little girl taking up her screen time from her cast is because contract reasons and so forth. So that was one of the reasons why I was getting a little too fixated on her in recent years. Once she was defeated permanently for good in Power Rangers continuity, then I took the advantage that when Disney ended their era of Power Rangers in 2010 with the reversioning with Mighty Morphin, but even though primarily RPM at the end of 2009. Once when Saban got Power Rangers back, that's when I started getting very nostalgic for the original Saban seasons, and I really infueled a lot of my nostalgia for Lost Galaxy. Now, at this point in time, 8 years ago, I was starting pre-production and stuff on Rise of Trakeena around this summer 8 years ago in 2010, but in 2018. And I was planning on doing this fan film because I will do a separate podcast talking about the proposed fan films of Lost Galaxy I tried to make years ago, back when I was a teenage minor in high school, when I was hiding, my passion for Power Rangers a secret from those in public who would bully me for liking Power Rangers. And once I did the fan film, once I started developing what I wanted the fan film to be like, and then when I such and such, back in the last of my junior year in high school and so forth, and when I told my counselors from my former special ed program about video, classes I wanted to take outside of software apps and stuff, I wanted video production, give me a chance, because, I'll talk about more of that in that video again later. So when I did Rise of Trakeena, that film was supposed to be the thing, and but Wrath of Trakeena, it really go to show that once you watch most of the majority of the fan film, that's if you can, you can tell that while I did have passion for that character and want to put her in a Power Rangers fan film for the very first time, that I, deep down at the end, I did start having a burnout and fatigue and breakdown from the character, because I realized the fact that Trakeena, in terms of Power Rangers continuity, now bear in mind also, again, before I get back to the tangent, that these fan films of Lost Galaxy I'm doing, these films of Lost Galaxy I've been doing for this generation is not in the same continuity as the Power Rangers Lost Galaxy that we are all familiar with in the fandom, where it's the usual how Trakeena was in the show, daughter Scorpius and so forth. But the Trakeena that I did in this fan film, reimagining a Lost Galaxy, although the aesthetic from the TV show is sort of intact, minus the unnecessary controversial cleavage to her, notwithstanding, I'll get to that. I just wanted it to be set in an alternate continuity. Anyway, but, I actually did have this sense of wanting to redo her character in today's times. Because simply for the fact is, the reason why I didn't want to, when I wanted to reintroduce Trakeena for something outside of the TV show, like I said, I do not own the character names and likelihoods of anything of Power Rangers, even though since Hasbro has the rights to the franchise now at the time of this video. But back when Saban was active, I was doing the fan film. So once when I damn it. Okay, so you see, I took a very long 8 years to make this fan film, and at this rate, it has taken me 8 years to want to reimagine Trakeena for a Power Rangers Lost Galaxy movie, fan movie or something, before we even get a legit Hasbro Power Rangers movie of Lost Galaxy, whenever likely or likely not so in the future. Because even though Hasbro has the rights to the franchise now, if they ever do a Power Rangers cinematic universe, and if they ever do get around doing any Lost Galaxy movie, they could do whatever they could, or they, with the characters, and especially her, or what they could do is do a Power Rangers cinematic universe that will be in line with the TV show and not like what we had from last year's shitty Lionsgate movie. And for those who have heard what I said on my personal Facebook about last year's movie, I don't like the 2017 Power Rangers movie anymore. I mean, yeah, the hype for that movie was so surreal, but then once it's been a year later now, and here we are at the 25th anniversary, I'm like, I hate the Lionsgate 2017 movie, and I kept telling people in the fandom that if the movie didn't make enough money and so forth, what makes you think it's going to get a damn sequel? God, some fans can be stupid. So yeah, but I just wanted to see what it was like if I were to reimagine Trakeena from what she was from Lost Galaxy on the show and all the Power Rangers continuity and the history of Power Rangers. And if there was another alternate universe of Power Rangers, and if there was an alternate universe take of Lost Galaxy, how would the characters be like in an alternate reality from their main reality, where Lost Galaxy is part of the main universe along with Mighty Morphin Zeo, Turbo Space, Lightspeed, so forth, while it's like we had a separate entity, a separate timeline where the Lost Galaxy Rangers and the Space Colony of Terra Venture, Trakeena, Scorpius, and all those elements and such from that series and era was so different for an alternate timeline. So what I've been trying to tell a lot of you, some of these fans that have been following me on this stuff on my channel for the last 5 years, what I've been trying to tell everybody for the last 5 years, that I wanted to do these fan films, set in an alternate dimension, alternate universe, separate from the Power Rangers Lost Galaxy we are all familiar with. Now, for those who may feel that I may have ruined your sort of for childhoods about your childhood memories of Lost Galaxy, look, these fan films are personally something I wanted to make, but now I know some of you will tell me in the comments and say some hateful things saying that you ruined my childhood nostalgia of Lost Galaxy. How dare you put out this fan film and make ruin our childhoods, You should be ashamed to be a Power Rangers fan. You should be ashamed to make this fan film. Should have never made this fan film or some stuff like that. Whatever in the comments. But you see, I didn't want to make these fan films to ruin anyone's nostalgia. I think deep down personally, I ruined my own nostalgia for Lost Galaxy. Anyone who is a Lost Galaxy, who likes Lost Galaxy, your nostalgia with the season is fine. It's actually, see, here's the thing. I actually ruined my own nostalgia of Lost Galaxy, and deep down to the fact that I created the fan film, and I think due to all the personal things and all the ups and downs and mostly the tragedies I've endeavored in real life for the last 8 years, I think deep down that I actually ruined Lost Galaxy for myself, not for anyone else. Because, you see, you can tell that when I was doing the last movie and this movie, I was going through some bouts of stuff that was going on during the time, and even a little bit of right now. But once I finally finished Wrath of Trakeena, then I'm just like, I can't believe I wasted 8 years of my early adulthood on some fan film I should have did back in high school and before I even graduated, or even at a point aged out after age 21. but you can tell deep down I had the passion and the commitment and the devotion to make the film. Okay. So the plot is, after that rambling for 30 minutes about this, so the plot of Wrath of Trakeena is this. It is set 2 years accordingly after my last Power Rangers Lost Galaxy fan film, the one that people shitted on me back in 2014. So apparently, yeah, even if my first movie sucked, I still had to do it. I still wanted to do a sequel, regardless the cost, regardless the risks, regardless the ambition. And so I figured I'd rather make Rise of Trakeena the sequel to the last film I did. Because, even though originally when I did Rise of Trakeena, the original attempt of it back in 2010, 2011, that was supposed to be the first of what was supposed to be a film series of Power Rangers Lost Galaxy made by a fan like me. But then I decided, well, once I canceled Rise of Trakeena and put the 2014 so-called reboot first, Wrath of Trakeena is the second film of the series. Because I felt that doing Rise of Trakeena at a time where I was like, okay, graduation from high school was more important. Adulthood, starting coming of age as an adult was more important and stuff. So I was like, I don't think I got time to do any of this whatsoever. I didn't have any time for this. So once I finally made the film, once I finally made the fan film, right now, after 2 years, so it's taken me 2 years from 2016 to last year to film Wrath of Trakeena. And once I finished filming everything that I could, then I released it right now in 2018. Now, I know originally Wrath of Trakeena was supposed to be out in time for Power Rangers Lost Galaxy's 20th anniversary next year, but considering on the first year of filming Wrath of Trakeena, I wanted it out for 2019, but then I have to realize 2018, we're 2 years from that point on at that point, back when we had Dino Supercharge. And when we had Saban's movie last year, and Ninja Steel and Hyperforce and all that stuff last year, and then this year 2018 Super Ninja Steel, the Shattered Grid comic saga, the 25th anniversary celebration of Power Rangers, I figured, okay, well, Lost Galaxy's 20th anniversary Blitzkrieg stuff will have to wait for 2019 when 2019 really did come. But since we're in 2018, that means I figured, well, I'm going to release Wrath of Trakeena this year because I feel like waiting for 2019 will make me feel a little too impatient as a Power Rangers Lost Galaxy fan. So I figured 2018 was the right time to put this out because this year is, again, this is our big 25th anniversary of Power Rangers. Because since everybody's celebrating 25 years of Power Rangers any way you can, any way we can, whether if it's like buying what's left of Bandai's and stuff before their license go out, or buy the Boom Studio comics, with the Shattered Grid comics and the 25th anniversary comic that just came out, or attending Power Morphicon for the big 25th anniversary stuff, Super Ninja Steel. But for me, I felt that this was the right time to put this fan film out. Because I felt that when times were grim and tough for me, I wanted to put this fan film out. Because when it was 2011, when everybody was all about Gokaiger and Samurai, I tried to get Rise of Trakeena out. I was supposed to have the film out in 2011, have it done within less than 6 months in 2010, early 2011, but nothing happened. And then here I am, 2018, in the day and age where the Neo Saban era is ending, and we're now in Hasbro's Power Rangers era as of right now, since Hasbro begins. Then all of a sudden I want to put this fan film out, but I feel like, yeah, it has been 8 years way too late, guys. But it's taken me a lot of time in 8 years, and I know so apparently all the 8 years I've wasted on doing this fan film and fanboy gazing about Trakeena, I think I just wasted 8 years of doing something more important in my life than this. Because, it was something that I wanted to make. Because the reason why I couldn't get it made the first time, well, again, I'll save that in another video. But the thing is, the reason why I didn't get Rise of Trakeena made and have it released when it was supposed to the first time was because I was going through some personal problems and personal endeavors back in that time. But I can't tell you here. I'll wait until when I do that video. So that's what I was trying to tell everyone, why Rise of Trakeena didn't happen when it was supposed to for a 2011 release when I planned it. And so I know I was holding back from what the film was supposed to be about. Excuse me, guys. So the premise of Wrath of Trakeena, if you look at the video description for it, the film is about, 2 years after my first fan film of Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, that the Marchverse incarnation of the Lost Galaxy Rangers, which do not comprise of Leo in them in this version, guys, must deal with the Marchverse incarnation of Trakeena that I developed exclusively for this continuity, from bringing Terra Venture and the Anarchy, or if not more so, darkness, in plight of some accusations made, against the Red Ranger about Scorpius' destruction. So that was the premise. Now, in terms of adaptation stuff from Lost Galaxy about Trakeena's rise to power, for those who've watched Lost Galaxy like I have, you have, or so, if you haven't watched Power Rangers Lost Galaxy when you were so-and-so in the 90s, well, if you're just any casual Power Rangers fan, if you're just all about Mighty Morphin, if you're, I know I've talked too much crap against the Mighty Morphin fans, but just saying, but in general. But, instead of adapting the episode where Trakeena was human for an episode and there was that crew mummy monster to start off my adaptation of Trakeena's rise to power in this fan film, I decided to adapt episodes where she just started as a primary villain after Scorpius died. And so apparently the film is based on the episodes Heir to the Throne and An Evil Game, but the entire fan film has a totally original plot. But though there are some references to other Lost Galaxy episodes that I adapted within the fan film as well. Spoilers for those who saw the beginning of the film or didn't. I did adapt an element from the most famous and iconic episode of Lost Galaxy, The Power of Pink, revolving the Pink Ranger and her death. Now, some of you guys are wondering, since due to the fact the character names are not the names of Leo and Corone, Kendricks, and them, I'll discuss more of that later if I have time, is because they've already been through that in their reality already. See, the reality of Lost Galaxy I'm doing in fan films is have different people as the Power Rangers and go through what the real Lost Galaxy Rangers went through in prime continuity, but in their reality, where one Pink Ranger died and the second person, whoever they get as the Pink Ranger, will come in as second. I know you guys are also wondering if I adapted some element, that one particular element from Lost Galaxy and its behind the scenes tumult that we all know that happened famously behind the scenes with Lost Galaxy that affected the show, was because, well, again, despite the fact when it came to the TV show with Lost Galaxy with Kendricks, we all know that Valerie Vernon, who was her in Lost Galaxy on television, had leukemia behind the scenes. And when leukemia got worse and she had to leave the show to undergo chemotherapy, that's why Kendricks died, and we got Corone, even though they were supposed to have Cassie as the Pink Galaxy Ranger and making this her third Pink Ranger role and stuff. But we got Corone instead. But I like the Corone better as the Pink Ranger, even though I got a soft spot for Kendricks after rewatching the series recently. But I didn't want to do Kendricks, Leo and them in this version of Lost Galaxy because I just didn't want to repeat what was already done on the show. For those, just to let you guys know, even if this is a fan film based on their season, but this version of Lost Galaxy I'm doing as a fan is set in an alternate reality, much like that MMPR fan film. Even though that fan film, that abandoned fan film, implies it's a continuation of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, MMPR by Dominic Savilli. That fan film implies it's a continuation of Mighty Morphin, but it feels like it's like in an alternate dimension because the female Blue Ranger thing, again, but that was that fan film, that abandoned piece of thing fan film. But I just didn't want to tell the same thing about, let's bring Corone back. Now, again, in this version of Lost Galaxy, I just didn't want to bring Corone back. I didn't want to bring up Astronema again. Because again, this fan film is not in continuity with main Power Rangers continuity, even though Lost Galaxy on the show and stuff is part of main Power Rangers continuity. So that's one of the reasons why I did what I did with these films, if you guys should know. And then about Trakeena though, I just didn't want to thoroughly tell that same story of how she started off in Lost Galaxy when she was an ineffective villain to a more powerful and effective villain. Because I felt that adapting that in this fan film would be... See, it goes to show I was being a jerk about this, but I just felt that what worked on the TV show should not be copied in something else. Just because you're doing an adaptation or you're just doing a fan film like this for fun, but... I just didn't want to tell that same story or flesh out any details that should have been implied in the actual series itself. And I know many of you guys are also likely disappointed with what I've done to Trakeena for this long-awaited, long-overdue fan film, but I just had no choice but to do her the way I wanted her to do because now, bear in mind though, but I did keep some core elements that made Trakeena her character from Power Rangers. I did kept the element of her hatred for the Power Rangers, particularly the Red Ranger, due to the thing with Scorpius, her thing with Scorpius and his death and all that. I did lifted some lines that Trakeena did said in the TV show, but with some face of an actress that's not Amy and all that, on the puppet, with lines like "never mess with Trakeena" and "take no prisoners." I kept that, and as a callback, because again, I was doing this movie out of nostalgia. Some of it of nostalgia. I did kept the element of Trakeena and Villamax sort of partnership, but I had to shorten it because I didn't want Villamax and other characters taking away a lot of screen time from her, as opposed to in my original fan film attempt of Rise of Trakeena from years ago. Because due to some, again, the personal issues and the behind-the-scenes tumult on Rise of Trakeena years ago. In terms of her and Deviant and their little power struggles, I kept that. Also, again, like Villamax, I didn't want Deviant all over the fan film and then take away, eating up a lot of screen time from Trakeena. Because, you see, I think deep down that I have been so wrapped up about Trakeena's character and reimagining her in a fan film, it really go to show that I was... being a bit too much of a fanboy of her character, an obsessive fanboy of that character, and knowing she's just a make-believe, much like every fictional character, and especially ones in Power Rangers. They're all make-believe characters. If these make-believe characters psychologically were real, then I would have a clingy, obsessive thing for them, and then it just gets even weirder. But the one thing I just really, really didn't want to do with Trakeena this time around for this fan film, or any version of Lost Galaxy I'll do in a fan film, likely or likely not, is I just didn't want to stick to how she really was in terms of her relationship with Scorpius. That, yes, in Prime Power Rangers continuity and all the history of it, Trakeena is Scorpius' daughter. And Scorpius is Trakeena's father. But the problem is, I just didn't want to go with that route in this reimagining. Because you see, when I said this was going to be a reboot and reimagining, I just didn't want to do that reboot and reimagining of her being the Scorpius daughter character that we all know and familiar with. The one that was the spoiled, stuck up, entitled Trakeena that, should have, that wanted to go out, conquer and destroy, but her father didn't want her to, and that character. And then when she met Villamax, she was trained by him, and when she came back and Scorpius died, and she takes on campaign. It seems like, here's the thing: how come I can easily summarize Trakeena's character arc in terms of every Power Rangers villain we know for the last 25 years of knowing this franchise now? And for some reason, it's like, how come I can summarize Trakeena's character arc as a Power Rangers villain easily than other villains from other seasons? easily. It's like, okay, we all know about, like, you know, Trakeena's arc, and, you know, we all know her character details. You know, to be honest though, yeah, Trakeena is one of the best developed villains Power Rangers only had, and she's basically a one-of-a-kind villain. And here we are almost 20 years after Power Rangers Lost the Galaxy ended. It is harder to see other female villains try to top Trakeena. That's what I've been saying everywhere in the fandom whenever I go on Facebook and Power Ranger Facebook groups and stuff, when people put down, you know, the whole, you know, putting down a post saying what's everyone's favorite Power Rangers villain or female Power Rangers villain. I put down Trakeena simply for the fact is, you see, despite how unique she was, you know, but though lesser known, you know, she was a one-of-a-kind villain, and you see any female Power Rangers villain after her, you know, from Vipra and onward up with Madame Odious and whatnot, none of these female villains in these later seasons after Trakeena could ever top her herself. You know, it goes to show how biased I am when it comes to female Power Ranger villains. And Power Ranger villains as a whole. I mean, a lot of us love Trakeena. Well, some of us, or I know there have been some people I came across that say they hate Trakeena. They think she sucks as a villain. Well, I vehemently am divisive about that opinion from those people. And you see, I know some people are going to ask me, you know, a simple, obvious question. Why am I so obsessed with this character? Why am I so obsessed with this Power Rangers villain? We don't even know who she is, but yet you guys know Rita Repulsa, Space Witch, 10,000 years, free, time to conquer Earth, revenge against Zordon and his Rangers, and she has headaches, sends Monster of the Week, whatever, it's a freaking Mummy Monster, Eye Monster, Sphinx Monster, Pig Monster, whatever. I mean, that was Rita Repulsa. But again, it's just, you know, everybody had, I mean, it seems like, you know, as much as I hate Rita, but yet I like Trakeena for some reason. And, well, even though I do like Astronema and Divatox, Scorpina, even though Scorpina didn't even do much, but it's just, you see, Power Rangers for the last 25 years, even at the time of this video, for the last 25 years, Power Rangers has had a very great, consistent cast, colorful cast of villains. And every single Power Rangers villain we've had over the last 25 years, season after season, they are a great, colorful cast of villains. And Trakeena is the same. But the reason why I was so obsessed with her character all these years, well, is because, well, she was a unique villain. She was a uniquely designed character. And I know deep down I was getting really obsessed with her character to the point where I'm like, oh God, here I am near 20 years after Lost Galaxy, and I'm just like burned out. And I think deep down that, you know, again, about the whole, you know, changing her character from what she was in Prime continuity. And again, since this is in an alternate dimension, it's an alternate continuity, this is a standalone fan film universe of Lost Galaxy, where the villains you know and love in Prime continuity are different and altered in this timeline and continuity of Power Rangers, where Trakeena is different, Villamax is different, Deviat's different. Well, actually, deep down, Villamax and Deviat are the only villains in the fan film of this that are the same as their TV counterparts, with the exception of the fact that Villamax, you know, he was sort of leaning to the anti-hero side of things, anti-villain, anti-hero side of things. Whereas Deviat is just pure evil through and through, and devious and manipulative, and you know, a schemer through and through, which was his character. Knowing at least I nailed Villamax and Deviat down right. As for Kegler, though, you know, if you've seen him in the fan film of mine, Kegler, I decided not to make him that whimpery old guy in a barrel. You know, I used the same design of Kegler from what we know from him, but I gave him somewhat a Scottish accent because I was also the voice of Kegler. So if you look in the comments, the first comment you'll see that I posted on my own about the fan casting thing with the asterisk where it says all characters were voiced by me. So yes, indefinitely, guys, I also did the voice of Trakeena. Since, due to the fact that all the characters were voiced by me, with the likenesses, with what actors I had to be those characters. Well, actually, except the OC characters, the Marshverse Rangers. But I mean, like, you know, Trakeena, in terms of her fan casting. I had to, you know, this has been a long story, guys. You see, while I was struggling to make all ends meet with this fan film and trying to make it without the money and so all that stuff, I had a hard time struggling to make Trakeena in a Power Rangers Lost Galaxy fan film and adapting her, changing her from what she originally was and not make her what she always was. And in terms of how I wanted to portray her as as opposed to her counterpart, do I want a Trakeena to be that young, spoiled, entitled daddy's girl turned warrior? To be a 20-something, early 30-something Trakeena, or should I go with an alternate universe Trakeena where she's a lot older and already an older seasoned villain who's already conquered galaxies and planets, and someone, get an actress, have the likeness of an actress in her late 30s, 40s, or 40 and over until at least age 50 or so. Because see, that goes to show I'm being a little ageist about it. I decided to do an older Trakeena because, you see, this is one of my original ideas for my original Rise of Trakeena concept, fan film concept. I did want to do an older Trakeena, but then I realized it just doesn't seem right for an alternate continuity where Trakeena is already a seasoned villain. And in this alternate universe, what if Trakeena never got blown up by Leo's Battleizer at the end of Lost Galaxy? But in this alternate universe, Trakeena deals with other people, dealing with totally different people as the Galaxy Rangers. And that was the concept doing the fan film. What if Trakeena was dealing with other people that assumed the power of the Lost Galaxy Rangers? That is what I was doing this whole fan film. And this was the last one. And even the next one. Since I'm doing this as a trilogy, by the way. And deep down, about the Scorpius daughter, version that we all know, I just hate to put this way, but I actually absolutely have a thing against spoiled, stuck-up, vapid, empty, cold daddy's girls. Ones that are so, vapid and stuck up and empty and ruthless and heartless and wretched and narcissistic. But you see, that was Trakeena's character. Again, this was Saban's character, not mine. I'm just borrowing the character, but just reimagining her by character and by name and costume only, but with a different actress face and some other altercations. Because you see, I just never liked any. What also even bugs me in other forms of fiction, when you have characters like this, spoiled, stuck-up daddy's girls, especially the teenage type of daddy's girls, and even some 20-something daddy's girls who have issues with their dads and stuff like that, and also have envy against guys and whatever, seeking a man that would be a better father figure to her than her actual father or whatever. I just didn't want to do that Trakeena because, you see, that was already done. This entire Trakeena is totally different. Then, as opposed to the Trakeena that us Power Ranger fans are familiar with, I wanted to do a Trakeena that was more intimidating and more vicious and more ruthless, and not only that, come off as a vicious bully in a way. And I actually kind of made Trakeena into a bully in this movie because if you've seen the fan film, and here's the spoiler to that there, for those, stop right here if you're going to hear if you're going to end up hearing the spoiler, but see the movie for yourself and then come back here. I had her beat the crap out of the Power Rangers hard and viciously hard because I felt that she deserved to give the Rangers vindication, eviscerating the Rangers, and it even stripped them of their powers. And even though in one scene in the fan film, if you watched it, there was that scene when Trakeena was getting a little worked up and angry with Vilamax, talking about what she's going to do to the Red Ranger that very next day. That when she would arrive on Terra Venture, when she starts her very first fight with the Power Rangers, if you've seen my fan film, guys, she said that if she ever does see the Red Ranger, she will crush him, strip him of his power, victimize him, eviscerate him, so forth. And I made her live up to that promise that she would do that to the Red Ranger. And when she already did that to the Red Ranger, she would do that to the other Power Rangers next. Because there were some major themes I had to play into this fan film, since even though, once more, this is another fan film of Power Rangers I've done where it's partly scripted, but most of it's all unscripted. But, well, whatever I did that I've done unscripted, worked it in context with the movie itself. You know, as I just make up something as I go along, you know, if it works in the context of this fan film or not. But whatever works. But I really wanted her to go after the Red Ranger, kill, you know, try to even beat the merciless crap out of him. And so there have been some frequent callbacks to what her character was, but it's just I just didn't want to do the backstory of how she was starting off as a villain, and then when she found Vilamax and her dad, I mean Scorpius, but again, I just didn't want to refer Scorpius as her father in this version, because I wanted to do, you know, again, this alternate continuity reimagining. What if Trakeena and Scorpius was never father and daughter? You know, in this alternate dimension of Power Rangers and alternate dimension of Lost Galaxy, what if Trakeena and Scorpius was like husband and wife, king and queen of their alien insect empire? And I thought that would work, because considering knowing in Prime continuity, for those who may not know, even Ranger Wiki put this down, that, you know, Trakeena was born, the Scorpius daughter version that we know, again, guys, that Trakeena was born the daughter of Scorpius and an unknown human, possibly humanoid, and definitely insectoid mother, unknown. And considering Trakeena lacked a mother character in this continuity, in this version of Power Rangers, in this version of Lost Galaxy, what if Trakeena and Scorpius was husband and wife, you know, king and queen of their, again, alien insect empire? And I did that. I wanted to go with that approach because, you see, like I said, guys, I hate spoiled, stuck-up daddy's girls. And spoiled, stuck-up, you know, daughters of any wealthy or mob boss father or whatever, you know. Now, you know, like I said, if you reflect back to my Time Force, my Power Rangers Time Force 6-part retrospective video that I posted in 2017, when it came to Rancic and Nadira, if you reflect back to my Time Force review until I deleted it, because back when Saban was going around flagging Power Ranger videos left and right from fans about the show and stuff, even from early this year, I did said that I'd rather see the father and daughter villain angle better with Rancic and Nadira and Time Force, as opposed with Scorpius and Trakeena in Lost Galaxy, because you see, that's why I was going around when I was rewatching Time Force and got the DVD of the series last year, and the more I rewatched Time Force, I'm like, you know, I can get away with Rancic and Nadira because their father and daughter relationship as villains were more humanistic and more, you know, humane, as opposed to, Scorpius and Trakeena, you know, father and daughter, they're just evil for just being evil, want to take over the world, and, you know, and also destroy Terra Venture. But Rancic and Nadira, you know, Rancic, although he does care for his father, you know, his daughter, Nadira, the pink-haired one, he still wants to, you know, knowing Rancic's arc, I'll get back to you-know-who, but, you know, when you think back to Time Force with Rancic and Nadira as father and daughter villains, in Power Rangers, Rancic, while he still hates the Power Rangers, he wants the whole world to feel his wrath for discriminating him for being a mutant all his life, but even from the future, And if you recall his speech back in the Rancic Lives episode and so forth, and then when and his hatred for robots, because robots are, you know, worthless and useless to him and all that stuff, that race, you know, that racial allegory against robots, you know, knowing Rancic's character, I still liked it the way how he has soft spots for Nadira and stuff, you know, take care of his daughter while he's still on the verge of trying to stop the Power Rangers from trying to capture him and stuff and his army of mutants, and also altering the course of history. Trakeena and Scorpius in Lost Galaxy, by contrast, you see Scorpius, you know, even though he was a very boring villain to start our season off, but then when you have his spoiled, stuck-up, insectoid, human hybrid, daddy's girl, that wants to go out, conquer, destroy, like she says, you know, I guess Scorpius was just being pretty much of an overprotective father. You see, this is why I have more sympathy for Rancic as a father villain to a daughter villain, as opposed to a insectoid monarch father villain who has a stuck-up, envious, vapid, entitled, narcissistic daughter villain who has issues personally, and also has some, you know, or she just wants to be like her dad just because, well, if her father is evil, so does she, because they're both born evil. They have evil in their heart, because that's how Saban, Judlin, and all those guys, when they did Lost Galaxy almost 20 years ago, did to those characters. But you see, I just didn't want to do that in this version, because in the fan film, Scorpius had his moment of screen time in the beginning, if you've seen it, spoilers. And like in the episode where Scorpius dies in the beginning of the fan film. So I had to skip the episode where, you know, I didn't want to start the fan film off as some, you know, me recreating that episode where Trakeena was a human, you know, hot supermodel in red business suit attire, you know, making a lot of men on Terra Venture dumbfounded, while she has a lot of envy and jealousy for all the women of Terra Venture more prettier than she is, and that crew mummy monster. I didn't want to reenact that shit in film. I didn't want to start off the rise or wrath of Trakeena. I didn't want to do that, because I just didn't want to reenact that shit. I just want to start where the point where the Rangers found Scorpius, they fight him for a brief period of time. And then after Scorpius defeated, then that's when Trakeena comes into the plot. But then I also mixed it up a bit. You know, okay, so what I really did in this fan film is a what if scenario in an alternate dimension about the Scorpius and Trakeena character threads. Now, Deviant did, you know, when I brought him into the story, Deviant does have his share of the story where I made him the one responsible for Scorpius' death. Because you see, in the show, I get that what Judlin and them did in Saban, you know, I know we like what they did to the villains in Lost Galaxy on the show, but in a fan film, in a what if scenario, what if instead of Trakeena believing the Red Ranger killed Scorpius, but even though she still believed that, deep down at the end of the movie, though, even though I didn't want to bring Deviant spoilers for the finale, because I left him absent for the rest of the film, because I have plans for him for the next movie. After the Trakeena stuff is just burned out for me after this one. I just didn't. I had to make Deviant the real person responsible for Scorpius's destruction. Because I think instead of like, oh, the Red Ranger, when the other Rangers was holding him, holding him down by his tentacles, you know, the Red Ranger leaped up in the air, struck him with his Quasar Saber. But what if there was a deleted scene where since Deviant went around lying to Scorpius about the Rangers kidnapping him and kidnapping Trakeena and stuff? What if Deviant was the one that killed Scorpius? What if he was the one that destroyed him? Because after all, knowing Deviant, he is a manipulative liar. He really knows how to accuse people for something they didn't do. And then the Power Rangers are to blame for this. And I think that was one of the few themes of this fan film. There is false accusations and manipulation. Those were prime themes of my fan film. Although I had to tone down the accusation stuff a bit, because I didn't want to make this too personal, because it may sound like something that actually happened to me in real life with some stalking shit that happened to me in real life. But we'll discuss that in that vlog when that comes. But for more so, evidently I actually wanted to tell that side of the story. What if Deviant was, at the end when the Rangers found Trakeena and the Red Ranger down after the little big battle, and what I did with that fight with Trakeena and the Red Ranger on top of that tower church is such that I had to represent if the Notre Dame de Paris was on Terra Venture. Yeah, and if there was a Paris dome, like Power Rangers in France, pretty much. But although Notre Dame, but we'll discuss that. But in the scene when the Green Ranger, my Green Ranger, not Damon Henderson, told my Red Ranger, not Leo, told him that Deviant was responsible. No, actually, my version of the Magna Defender told my Red Ranger that Deviant was the one responsible for Scorpius' destruction, and Trakeena believed that the Rangers were behind it. But I decided to cut Deviant out for the rest of the film. But even though this is foreshadowing what I have in store for the possible Trakeena spinoff, then I'm a Trakeena spinoff fan film that I said after this recent film, which I'll probably have, likely or not, for next year to end out this whole decade of Trakeena obsessing of Power Rangers, Lost Galaxy, and fan films, all decade of the 2010s long. And more so, though, that was one of the ideas I had down when I made it up along the way, because this needed to be addressed, because I know what they did on the TV show with the Trakeena believing the Power Rangers killed her father thing was great on the show, but in a fan film, I just didn't want to portray Trakeena and the rest of Power Rangers Lost Galaxy in these fan films the way how they always were for a show that aired in 1999. Because knowing how kid shows and stuff were written and stuff in late 90s and early 2000s, especially the way how Saban portrays, write their characters the way they do, to appeal to kids. You see, the Power Rangers Lost Galaxy I was doing was a way to appeal to, adults around my age and over, and for any of us who were like in their, that were around the age of 6, 7, 8, Now, quick question: How old if any of you were when Lost Galaxy aired in 1999? For me, I was 6 going on 7. So, here I am, 26 going on, 25 going on 26. Next year I'll be 26 going on 27, 20 years after Lost Galaxy. And I'm just like, the way how the characters were written as a kid's show with sophisticated morals and backstories and stuff like that kept us entertained, while we still had that awesome bits of action and stuff they entertained us with back in the day. I wanted to do a more adult version of how to, translate what was put on the show for kids versus what I translated to take seriously for the adult Power Ranger fans. And instead of the whole Red Ranger killed my father and I will kill him, and I will destroy him and the Power Rangers and Terra Venture, ha ha ha. But I didn't want to do that, because that was during the show, because Power Rangers, knowing the stigma, kid show, toy commercial, whatever. I just wanted to do a version of Lost Galaxy that felt mature and serious. Well, even though the show itself was already mature, but this fan film, I wanted to take it seriously. But we still had some bits of comedy here and there from my Blue Ranger, my version of the Blue Galaxy Ranger, who is actually the comic relief, not my version of the Green Ranger, because we all know Damon was the comic relief in the show, but the seriousness in the fan film and so forth. But I digress. And then here we are at this point where I have to talk about some things that I paid homage from recently. When I just thought about this when I was still working on the film, when I was still working on this movie, for last minute during the reshoots, I thought about doing some callbacks and responses to the 2 Power Ranger movie things we had. The R-rated short film and last year's movie. The first being my response to Power/Rangers within Power Rangers Lost Galaxy: The Wrath of Trakeena. If you want to do a dark Power Rangers film thing, don't do so much violence. Now, I know deep down, for those who probably see my fan film by now, before I probably get any kind of, Um, I just didn't want it to do like, oh, blood, gore, violence. The only times there's like blood is unless, you know, during like if the Power Ranger is battle damaged, you know, with the helmet off. Like for example, my Red Ranger Tony Marshall, when Trakeena was beating the Red Ranger again, eviscerating him during that battle while her army of Stingweavers was dealing with the other Rangers, she was dealing with the Red Ranger, and when she kept blasting him and stuff, beating the crap out of him, she would take her power staff and blast the Red Ranger. Part of his helmet cracked. Even though it was a response to what happened to Leo's helmet of his red Lost Galaxy helmet from Journey's End, but cracked and not showing an eyeball or so through the visor. But there were shots of blood on Tony's face, as well as some scarring and dirt. All of that was done in colored pencil and ink pens and stuff when I did that type of makeup, sort of makeup on the puppet like that. Because I wanted to do a battle-damaged Red Ranger, because I thought a battle-damaged Power Ranger with cuts and bruises and dirt marks and blood would be pretty cool. Because think of all the times in like the original Spider-Man movies with Tobey Maguire. I mean, especially particularly the first Spider-Man. In Spider-Man, when Spider-Man had his final battle with the Green Goblin in that movie, you saw some marks of blood and stuff on Peter's face through the Spider-Man mask, and the eyes to the Spider-Man mask was like pitch black because the pumpkin bob from the Goblin blackened it, and then as well as cuts and holes and stuff through the suit. That was kind of what I was trying to do, pay homage to that. And at least I didn't want to do all blood and gory Power Rangers, like again that Power/Rangers film. And if you want to do bland generic Power Ranger reimagined characters that don't act nothing like the original characters, now this is how you actually should do it, though, because when the people behind Power/Rangers did their film, it's like they thought they knew what they were doing, but that's to go to show the people behind that film were not devoted fans. And I know that when Power/Rangers did came out, and of course when everybody talked about it, I really did not like what they did when they had all those blood squibs and stuff over the screen, all over the screen and around parts of the scenes that they shot. Like like when Zack was the Black Ranger fighting a North Korean smuggler that's supposed to be Clank from the Machine Empire, and just that Korean guy in the white suit, the white business suit. And Zack was like stabbing some of his thugs, and also shooting them with guns and stuff. I mean, we don't need that stuff in something about Power Rangers with their name on it. And see, that's one of the reasons why Power/Rangers already had a terrible blood stain, already had a terrible disdain on the Power Rangers brand, and had some fans walk away from it. Now, if you do like Power/Rangers, great. But what I was doing was a response to that film. That if you want to do a dark Power Rangers, this is how you fucking do it. Heck, that Power Rangers movie last year. Okay, from last year's movie, I did some callbacks to one particular thing. The product placement. Now, bear in mind, when I did the fan film and doing the reshoots last year, okay. I'm just going to make this honestly clear. There is a part of the fan film that I paid homage from last year's Power Rangers movie, which I know many of you still like, where Trakeena would go inside a Dunkin' Donuts and find the Red Ranger. Now, bear in mind, as a disclaimer, I am not sponsoring Dunkin' Donuts of any means. This is only for fun. This is just only for whatever. This is not for like, oh, I'm trying to support and promote and sponsor Dunkin' Donuts. No, that's not what I'm doing, and that's not what I did not do. I just to make it clear to anyone in Dunkin' Donuts and all that stuff. This is just only part of the plot of my movie, and simple as that. Because I wanted to do this as a response to last year's Power Rangers movie about the about the donut shop thing, where you have a villain by the name of a Power Rangers villain go inside donut shop, find such. Well, you see, when you think back to last year's Power Rangers film, albeit sucks, to be honest. When you think back to last year's Power Rangers movie, while the Rangers were going to stop Rita from finding the Zeo Crystal, they had to do a little small plot revolving Krispy Kreme. My fan film, by contrast, doesn't have Dunkin' Donuts be sort of the central part of the plot, because Dunkin' Donuts is only in my fan film for like a minute and 2 seconds, I believe, throughout the 3-hour runtime of this film. And yeah, at least I didn't go around like bringing up Dunkin' Donuts. Like there's a certain focal focus of the plot surrounding Dunkin' Donuts, and you know, you got Trakeena going to Dunkin' Donuts and find the Red Ranger. At least there were no people. Well, you see, when I was at a Dunkin' Donuts that one day when I was filming, between cameras, you know, the camcorder and my phone, I only filmed shots where there were not people in the background, which is good, and especially in the bathrooms. And I only took pictures of some scenery where I couldn't, knowing where I was at locally in my local area, I cannot take pictures with people involved. I don't want to have people in the background, just because even though it's public places, you know, people are going to roam around. I mean, you know, inanimate puppet objects like what I got don't cut it. They're just inanimate objects that I crafted. So it was going to be possible. I had to do some tricky stuff. So what I did was I filmed the exterior shots of Trakeena at the Dunkin' Donuts, and then the next day I would film where I'm at here in my room, in my apartment, with the green screen right behind me. And I would have the Trakeena puppet, you know, for some shots where she like enter in and such and then finds the device. There were some shots I also shot when in the actual Dunkin' Donuts in the men's room, where I placed my cell phone according to the plot, where she would find a decoy device that has, when she finds out that the decoy device, according to what my Green Ranger evented, as a distraction for Trakeena to not find the real Red Ranger. I placed it my cell phone, like if it was a decoy holographic projector device, so that way Trakeena won't find the real Red Ranger at the restaurant. So that was sort of something I added to the plot during the rewrites of my fan film. So you know Power Rangers, Saban's Power Ranger movie, you can have your Krispy Kreme. My fan film will have Dunkin' Donuts. Thank you very much, because I had to make a response to that movie. I did play this fan film off as a bit of a parody of last year's Power Rangers movie a little bit, because you see, Krispy Kreme, you know, ever since when Saban's Power Rangers film came out last year, the one you guys still love that you wish had a sequel by now, I had to, you know, play a little reference and a homage to the Krispy Kreme thing, and a replacement with Dunkin' Donuts. Since I figured, okay, Krispy Kreme is taken, you know, maybe I should have did was, you know, have like, instead of Dunkin' Donuts, why couldn't I have Trakeena go to a Starbucks and find the Red Ranger, or go to a Bojangles somewhere to find the Red Ranger? Hell, a Burger King to go find the Red Ranger somewhere, hiding in the bathroom or something. Heck, why not why not a Taco Bell somewhere? But other than a donut shop, I mean, like any restaurant, it could be a Dunkin', it could have been a Starbucks, it could have been a Burger King, it could have even been a Chick-fil-A even. It could have been a Taco, like I said, Taco Bell. But a donut shop like Dunkin' Donuts or Krispy Kreme, no, I figured deep down that I was just doing that just to make fun of what, you know, Saban's movie that you all loved last year did with the Krispy Kreme thing. When Rita was like, you know, she wants to find, I want to find the Krispy Kreme at the, I want to find the Zeo crystal at the Krispy Kreme. But that was in the, see, it really goes to show how ludicrous and stupid that was in that movie of Power Rangers. Because I get that that movie was playing off in real life. My fan film of Lost Galaxy, Wrath of Trakeena, by contrast, is both real life and fantasy. So it's a mixture of the two, mixing real life places with characters of fantasy. So that's what I was doing, as a running gag and a little homage joke to what, you know, last year's Power Rangers film already did with Krispy Kreme. But man, I've been saying Krispy Kreme so many times, but we're not even talking about last year's movie. We're talking about my movie of Power Rangers, my fan film. So it go to show that I did a parody of the donut thing, the donut shop thing, and it was something that I had to do that was a little clever. Another thing I also added into the film that I never got to do in the last movie, though, that I think a lot of fans were excited to see, that I actually did do some Megazord fights with the toys. Now, I know due to despite my inexperience of doing CGI models of Megazords, I decided to use the toys, which were more close to me to use. You know, considering that Bandai of America's license with Power Rangers will be up eventually, but when I did this fan film 2 years, within the 2 years I did it, I had to use whatever old Lost Galaxy Megazord toys I could to use for the fan film. And for anyone who's a fan of Neo Saban, Power Rangers, seasons like Dino Charge, now some of you guys are probably in shock now, spoilers for those who haven't seen my fan film right now at the moment, that in the Megazord fights, since there are only two of them, one in, like in the first hour of the movie, and then the one later on, when Trakeena comes in for like most of the majority of the film, where I've used the Megazords from Dino Charge, mostly the limited edition stuff, those recolors that Bandai produced for Dino Supercharge, because I thought they were close for evil Megazords to be controlled by Deviant, because now I did adapted something from the Lost Galactic two-parter from Lost Galaxy, but minus the Centaurus and Stratoforce Megazords being under Deviant's control. Instead, rather, Deviant has new Zords, that could take out the Power Rangers. Well, in this continuity anyway, because I felt, I wanted to save the Centaurus and Stratoforce Megazords for, even though despite the runtime of 3 hours long, I was not going to have enough time to film more Megazord fights, and especially have Megazord fights where the Centaurus and Stratoforce are on side with the Galaxy Megazord and the Magna Defender's Megazord, the Defender, Torazord. So I had to have the Centaurus and Stratoforce Megazords around for a brief period during that very big, ambiguous, ambitious, risky Megazord fight I'd done with Trakeena's Super Stingwingers, which these King Kong-esque, Super Stingwingers I had in the fan film. If just to let you know. At least I got to show off the Centaurus and Stratoforce Megazords finally, but if only, considering that if you've seen the Centaurus Megazord, on the other hand, when I got the Centaurus Megazord in time for this movie, I know there were some parts missing, that being the arm and his battle helmet, but see, I have been, around this time, there was some money spent on this movie, but just only for like certain stuff I wanted to make this movie happen. Money to buy the toys off of eBay, but I can't tell you where I got the money from because it's confidential. And the Centaurus Megazord, you see, the Stratoforce Megazord and Galaxy Megazord and Torazords are the same and complete. It's just Centaurus Megazord. You see, when I was buying the Centaurus Megazord parts off of eBay, since I've never even had Centaurus or Stratoforce Megazords growing up when Lost Galaxy's toys were out back 19 years ago when I was a kid. So I didn't get the Centaurus and Stratoforce Megazords until I was an adult, which I can, do now, since I'm over 18, I can order online off of eBay, Amazon, because I could have had the Megazords sooner in my first fan film, so that's why I made up for it in the sequel. And that was one of the plans, for those who've seen some of my older fan film announcement, vlog videos and stuff back in 2014, that I said that I'll save Centaurus and Stratoforce for a Power Rangers Lost Galaxy 2, in which I did. But then as soon as when I did get around doing this film for the last 2 years, then I got I already had the Stratoforce Megazord beforehand, but that was around when I've already finished but rushed my first Power Rangers Lost Galaxy fan film and just starting some development and reworking on Rise of Trakeena, redeveloping that movie. That being this, which I later retitled Wrath. So the Centaurus Megazord, I didn't start buying parts of the Centaurus Megazord off of eBay until 3 years ago in 2015. And then up to this point last year, I had to get one particular part that I was so missing to get, that to complete the Megazord, the little small card that forms the Centaurus Megazord's chest. The arms, I'll probably, well, that depends on if there will be any of the Bandai toys from old seasons left on eBay once Hasbro starts next year. Will be around next year. I'll try to find the arms of the Centaurus Megazord off of eBay, in time for the next movie. Or wait until, if they ever will do a Legacy Lost Galaxy line. But then by this point, I'm going to be done with the Power Rangers Lost Galaxy fan films that I'm having as a trilogy already done. And there won't be no point where Hasbro will do Legacy Lost Galaxy stuff no time soon, if they will continue the Legacy line stuff, if ever. So, the Centaurus and Stratoforce Megazords only had a small amount of time. The big dog, that being the Zenith Carrier-Zord, I could have had the money to buy the Centaurus. Not Centaurus. I already said Centaurus. Zenith. The big shark Carrier-Zord Galactabeast, the Zenith Carrier-Zord. I wanted to have all 5 Megazords in time for this movie, but I'll just stick to the 4 I got. So yeah, the Megazord battle, especially the big one, the very big one near the end of the movie, that was probably, believe it or not, my most ambitious Megazord battle I've ever done. And bear in mind, before I wrapped up everything in terms of production, post-production stuff for Wrath of Trakeena, this Megazord battle I was just describing, I actually filmed that stuff earlier this year once 2018 started, back in January. And it took me that whole night of whatever day it was, probably January 8th of this year. I can't remember now, but whatever. It was around that time, January 8th or so of this year, when I filmed that very big Megazord battle. Because while I was filming all that other stuff, now that Megazord battle that I've been wanting to do with the toys and stuff, and the Stingwinger, the Stingwinger Super King Kong-esque puppets, it took me over 2 years to execute, without a storyboard, how I was going to execute the sequence visually. I visualized the sequence in my head without even drawing up storyboards or any of that. I just figured it out how I was going to execute it without storyboards and stuff. So, see, I'm just not that much of a storyboard guy when it comes to setting up certain set pieces and stuff. See, that's the thing about being a filmmaker. You got to set up set pieces to see if it will be executed, worth executing on screen. And that's something I just didn't do. Yet I can write script around the scenes, but I just don't want to do a visual storyboard of the scenes, which is something I just didn't do. Okay, there was some other stuff that I did I think was the best parts of the fan film. The time when the Rangers were roaming around the plaza, when there were, explosions are asunder everywhere on Terra Venture. Trakeena was on the verge of attacking Terra Venture again, at large. And the Rangers were all roaming around the plaza, finding out the explosions. I think the scene where Trakeena was interrogating the 4 remaining Rangers while my Red Ranger, Tony, again, was in hiding away from her so she won't be seen, and, so that way he won't be seen by her. I think that was one of my most also other ambitious, risky scenes to shoot. I was at considering that I live in Maryland, I had to film at the King Farm area of Rockville, filming that scene, one of those areas there, when I was filming it on that very cold December day during the reshoots last year. And I filmed that scene, and looking at some of the footage and some of the extra lines and extra shots of the scenes, deep down, actually, when I filmed the original version of the scene, it was going on for about 20 minutes long, taking up almost all the screen time from other scenes to move on. So I had to trim down a lot from that scene to make it at least like 7 minutes long, and not longer than like 12, 13, 14 minutes, taking away most time for other scenes to happen in the movie. And when Trakeena was interrogating my blue, pink, green, and yellow Rangers, while Red and Magna Defender 2.3. Whatever, was in hiding, when Trakeena was interrogating them and viciously, bullying them about the Red Ranger's whereabouts and stuff. And, you know, that scene to me took 15 minutes long. But I had to cut out 6 minutes or so and made it about like 6 minutes in 6 minutes in general. A 6-minute scene, because the original, the scene was very extensive. So when I filmed it, even though it was completely unscripted, by the way, that scene when, you know, again, where the Rangers are on that bench and Trakeena was going around, you know, if you watch it, I made her say those things, all those bullying things, saying she'll, you know, snap the Pink Ranger's neck and all that stuff, and then poison the Magna Defender's, you know, body and all that stuff, and cause him to die eventually in hours and stuff from time and all that. Yeah. But then there were some other parts of the fan film I also did that I never thought I would pull off. Some of the monster fights. Now, the monster fights between the Rangers and whatever monsters hired by Trakeena, I had to reenact some things that did happen in Lost Galaxy in terms of those fights. The crew mummy fight in the movie, in the early 50 minutes of the movie, though, since the fan film is 3 hours long, the crew mummy fight was not going to be that long. And even though I wanted to have them in time, but due to the fact I was not going, there were plans to shoot more scenes with that monster and other monsters in between, but I don't have the time to showing off on monsters and stuff, and knowing the fan film is about Trakeena and the Power Rangers. I can't have all these different superfluous characters, you know, taking her thunder away, as if you could put it that way, if you will. So then I had Chameleac, and then, believe it or not, for those who are not aware of the fan film, I did somehow recreated and did a remake of the Wing Knight costume from Kamen Rider Dragon Knight as the Shadow Knight character that serves Trakeena in my film. See, now about that Shadow Knight character, now that is going to be a mystery that you're going to have to withhold to believe until probably when I do the next movie. Now, I think for any Kamen Rider fan or general Tokusatsu fan, I think some of you guys are wondering, what the hell is a Kamen Rider doing in a Power Rangers fan film? Seriously. I mean, you mean tell me this is me trying to do a response to Super Sentai versus Kamen Rider all of a sudden? Because that's what it seems to me. I mean, I guess deep down, well, I felt that close to make this shadowy figure character that, you see, it's a very complicated story, because I think this is also a response to what was going down about that character that I once played in Rise of Trakeena, and, you know, which I abandoned. I believe he's the Shadow Knight character, but I don't want to go around spoiling, revealing that to you in time, because that's a secret for like the next movie. If you want to know who the Shadow Knight character really is, it could be that OC character that I played of AJ. It could be, you know, Shadow Knight could be anybody. So I'm keeping that character a damn secret until the next movie again, if I ever do a Power Rangers Lost Galaxy 3. But all things considered, though, I feel that Power Rangers Lost Galaxy: The Wrath of Trakeena, after 8 years of doing a fan film about wanting Trakeena in one of these films, you know, that I've been doing the Power Rangers fan films, I feel that part of the fan film, you know, parts of it made sense, but then most of it didn't. So deep down, personally for me, as the person who created the fan film, I think Power Rangers Lost Galaxy: The Wrath of Trakeena is my worst and best Power Rangers fan film I've ever made. Because you see, now there is some really bad moments and some bad slip-ups, and along with some stuff that I thought was executed sort of well, but deep down, it's, you know, even though I kept saying to myself that this fan film was going to suck, and in fact it did, And I think a lot of you were disappointed with, once you heard that Trakeena was coming back, but you thought this fan film, if the fan film was in the same universe as the Power Rangers universe we come to know, with all the seasons connected from one season to the next and stuff, then you would think that it's in continuity with the TV show. When knowing this film takes place outside of the show, and it's not in the same universe as the TV show, but there's references and characters appearing elsewhere. Like, this is like, let's say, now, considering Trakeena's demise in the TV show, suppose this is like her afterlife outside of the TV show. What if Trakeena was facing other people donning the Lost Galaxy Rangers' powers? And everything that she done in prime continuity, it's altered in this continuity, or sort of afterlife in some way. And then it's like, okay, what else? Then I went around changing her backstory, which I believe that a lot of I think some of you fans are a little disappointed that this is not the Trakeena that you came to know, even though it's slightly the same costume aesthetic of her, but even though despite different face of actress. Before I wrap up, I do want to talk about the fan castings and the paper dolls and stuff that, a lot of people have been wary about that also. You see, for those who may not know about me about this, and if you know about my background of wanting to make movies, or wanting to be in movies, or want to be an actor in film or television or whatever, or in Hollywood, I did this movie as like more of a passion / dream project. If I actually were making movies with the following actors that I got the likenesses to be these characters. And deep down, for a lot of people who are being wary about that also, the following actors that I fan casted and put, made puppets of, if they were the Power Ranger characters, they never really were in the movie. Because how the hell was I going to pay these actors that I used the likenesses of the puppets on if they were in real life in the actual thing? Because no, I don't even have a real film studio. This is just me doing this stuff for fun. Okay, I was not also doing it as how people made it out to, like I was trolling, knowing to the fact that I was just doing this just by doing something and not by like this was supposed to be. It was legit, but knowing I was just doing this just for fun, and also doing it in a way of how being inspired by TV shows that have used puppets and such for characters, especially if you're doing parodies of pop culture, like Team America, and as one inspiration, South Park and Robot Chicken. Okay. So, and for those who've been wondering about why am I doing another fan film of Power Rangers with paper dolls is, and even if this is a sequel to the film that I did 4 years ago that I got shadowing in the fandom earlier during Super Mega Force and such in the 20th anniversary. What got me inspired to do a paper doll puppet Power Rangers fan film medium thing? My inspiration was the aforementioned shows and movies and stuff that had that kind of puppetry. Think of that 1960s British marionette show Thunderbirds. Though they didn't comprise, the marionette puppet characters of Thunderbirds didn't comprise likenesses of any celebrities that were popular during the 60s during that time. That was when Trey Parker and Matt Stone did that Team America World Police movie, when they had marionette caricature parody puppets of Matt Damon and George Clooney and other celebrities like that they've made fun of on that movie. Hell, South Park, like I said, if you watch South Park and when you binge watch all the episodes from seasons 1 to 21, and you look at how many celebrities they've made fun of, like Caitlyn Jenner and Steven Spielberg and Mel Gibson and Barbara Streisand and Kim Kardashian, and the Jersey Shore cast like Snooki and them, and Barack Obama, those celebrities like that. that's what inspired me to do something like this for a Power Rangers fan film. Do a Power Rangers fan film, something like of a like, where it's a Power Rangers fan film that is inspired by the likes of Thunderbirds, Team America World Police, and South Park, and Robot Chicken, but with paper doll puppet models as the characters, apparently. That is what I got inspired by. And that because since no real local people wanted, in my hometown and home state wanted anything to do with my fan film stuff, I figured, okay, I'll just do this crap by myself with puppets and me doing voices of every character, even if I do the female characters, for better or worse. Because, when I did Rise of Trakeena years ago, I didn't have the confidence to do female characters, especially during video playbacks after filming scenes a day and stuff. But it seems like compared to how I was 2010, 2011 me versus 2017, 2018 me, it seems like I now have the confidence to do those characters. But the one trick that people need to know how I do the female characters is I film scenes with the female characters, like the Pink Ranger, for example, first. Okay, per clip. And once filming is wrapped for the day, then when I do editing, then I start, since most of the majority of the film is edited, most of the majority of all footage for the film is edited on Sony Vegas. I don't use Apple iMovie or whatever, but Sony Vegas is close to what I got for more high advanced video editing. And what I did was, okay, if I, especially if I want to do, the way how women and girls in general sound, I have to sound like them a little bit folkly for faux first, the FAUX word, as in other words, fake first. Okay, then during editing, now during playback, when editing all that footage, I don't play back the whole footage, and then especially if there's scenes with the female characters talking and stuff, I don't want to hear myself during the playbacks, because this is, even now I'm still ashamed to sound like how I sound, trying to sound like a girl or a woman playing those female characters while doing the male characters. And what I do is, obviously, the female characters are all pitch shift to a like pitch shift pitch shift 1 or pitch shift 2, or pitch shift 3 to make them sound high pitched. That's how I made the female character sound. And even Trakeena. Now, when I did Trakeena's voice, I tried to imitate and emulate a few gothic female characters from fiction, probably like Maleficent from Sleeping Beauty, and probably the Angelina Jolie Maleficent a little bit, and then also whoever else. Queen Regina from Once Upon a Time a little bit. And that was who I was trying to emulate. I was trying to emulate Maleficent and Regina from Once Upon a Time. Well, Maleficent from Sleeping Beauty plus the Angelina Jolie movie, but that's who I was trying to emulate for my Trakeena. But then now what I think a lot of people have been waiting for a while now during this vlog about Trakeena in general again, the cleavage to the character's costume. Knowing that when you have female Power Ranger characters and female Power Ranger villains, the female characters need to be covered up. But with the exception of Divatox in the Turbo movie, you can get away with that in the movie. But when you introduce Divatox into the season of Turbo proper, you got to tone the cleavage down, because you don't want parents having flipping their asses off and then ups in arms about why is she showing all that cleavage. It's all that stuff. And for some reason I kind of did over sexualize Trakeena a bit too much, and it's something I'm going to regret doing, because you see, I started doing that back when I was 18 years old, when I was doing Rise of Trakeena originally. Due to the fact I wanted it to be a badass Power Rangers Lost Galaxy fan film reimagining back when I was 18 with Rise of Trakeena. Wrath of Trakeena, in the day and age of #MeToo and stuff now, I feel like can't even do that shit anymore compared to in 2010, 2011. So, you see, how I got inspired with that bit was, For those who may not know, in curiosity, I was becoming a fan of a popular, bygone, faded 80s horror hostess icon that you may know with the big bush weave of hair, black dress, the rack, and yeah, it's Elvira. And for some reason, I was inspired by Elvira, because you see, Elvira, when you look at Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, she was my influence. And again, I've talked about this for those who see my Trakeena podcast from 3 years ago. I've stated the same thing. And I got inspired by Elvira with her cleavage because, well, her cleavage is the most iconic part of her. And I thought, but deep down, I did have the tone down, when I had different varying Trakeena puppets featuring Maggie Siff's likeness to it. I had to tone down there were times where the cleavage was toned down. All right. But, okay, then speaking of Maggie Siff herself. Now, I think deep down, since the film was already put up and finished and all that, I think deep down I'm going to regret fan casting the woman actress who played a character on a very universally acclaimed TV show from 10 years ago to 4 years ago that comprised of a bunch of edgy, hardcore biker dudes in a FX TV drama where she played the nurse plus, biker girlfriend to the said, blonde-haired biker guy, and who is now on the show with a Paul Giamatti and a Damian Lewis, and she's the therapist and badass dominatrix that's running that whole show. And you know who I'm talking about? Maggie Siff, the actress who played Tara Knowles on Sons of Anarchy from Season 1 to Season 6, from 2008 to 2013, now the character of Wendy Rhodes on Showtime's universally acclaimed current drama, Billions. But you see, here's the thing also. I have heard of Maggie Siff to an extent back when Sons of Anarchy was airing. And when I was not watching Sons of Anarchy, I've heard of this woman. But, of course, she was also on some other stuff before and after Sons of Anarchy. She was, of course, Rachel Menken in Mad Men. She was also in a few movies like Push with Chris Evans and Dakota Fanning. She recently had 2 movies. One movie that was a bomb, based on a book called The Fifth Wave, and then of course that movie where she had her very first lead role in anything, A Woman Apart. That feminist movie where you had an actress who was getting stressed out about all these different movie role deals and stuff. But you see, Maggie, I feel like I'm going to regret casting someone who was just on a very already acclaimed, overrated FX TV show about a bunch of biker dudes, and knowing that fan base will forever see Maggie as Tara, well, you got some fans of Billions will see Maggie as Wendy. I don't want to see her as either at this point now, because you see, and also for those fans of Sons of Anarchy and for those fans of Maggie and Tara Knowles, for those who spoiled about the fact that Tara was going to die at the end of season 6 anyway, well, therefore I ain't going to see the show now at the end for her last season. And you see, the only reason I fan casted Maggie Siff as Trakeena for my Power Rangers Lost Galaxy fan film through the paper doll puppet thing is because I thought Maggie would look like Trakeena, and especially her actress from the TV show, because deep down I thought she was the one. I thought she looked like that character. And she sounded, and also her actress, and she sounded like her and looked like her at the same time. But then I just realized I'm going to regret it. Because knowing that Maggie, she's the kind of actress, when you see her acting on Sons of Anarchy or Billions or the movie she was in, she's more of rather a drama actress. Now, if I actually got Maggie Siff for real, and if I actually had these actors legitimately in real life, the real living actors of, Maggie and also the other actors, is because, if I did, how the hell is it going to pay them to be in the damn thing? But yet that Power/Rangers film can get away and get Katie Sackhoff and James Vanderbeek to play Kimberly and Rocky, and that, playing generic R-rated dark and grim reimagined characters with the names of those Power Ranger characters by name only, but get away with it. But my movie, I just had to do puppets with their faces on it by, all I did is, obviously I Google search up images of those actors, print them out off the computers, and then, slap their faces onto the puppet to see who should be this character and who should be that character. And I chose Maggie to be Trakeena because I thought, then I realized, based on the type of character she actually plays, knowing Maggie as an actress, she likes playing characters that are more sophisticated and more strong, empowered, and also conservative, fully clothed characters. She doesn't like wearing skimpy over the top costume. Well, tell that to her new show Billions, but that's a bare exception. But I think I'm going to regret having her looking skimpy if she was Trakeena for real. But through the paper doll of her that I made, the various dolls of her with her face on it, because Maggie, I just think I'm going to regret making her look like that. And then for anyone who's a fan of her acting or her in general and her as the character she played, like Tara in Sons of Anarchy or Wendy and Billions, whatever, fuck it. I don't even watch that show. But that crap. But to be honest though, I realize she just wasn't it. I should have went with someone like, I should have went with an actress that actually would look like Trakeena if we actually did have a real Power Rangers Lost Galaxy reboot movie. But back when we had the Lionsgate film, when people back on that were following me on Instagram and stuff, telling me if there was a Lionsgate Power Rangers Lost Galaxy movie through that, what could have been a potential film franchise that Saban started last year. If we ever did have a Lost Galaxy movie, what actors do you think would be Trakeena for that iteration in film? So I was like, screw it. And I just felt, deep down, I just think I just found the wrong actress choice. And I think the fan casting of Trakeena through the paper doll for this fan film kind of did hurt my fan film a lot. And if for anyone who is a fan of Maggie Siff, the actress, actress from Sons of Anarchy, Billy, and so forth, I do think that I kind of did the wrong casting decision ever. Fan casting decision ever. Because when I did these fan castings, that's who I really wanted to be that character. Even if she plays a lot of these sophisticated, strong and empowered female characters that she plays. Strong and empowered female characters is such a buzzword in a lot of stuff now. And all this feminism going on too. So that's a thing. See, I just couldn't think of any other actress other than, I guess deep down for any of us who are Power Ranger fans in general. For anyone who's known Trakeena for almost 20 years since Lost Galaxy ended, it's really going to be hard to find actresses if we ever do have a real Power Rangers Lost Galaxy movie, when Hasbro does their potential cinematic universe for Power Rangers. And if they ever do a Lost Galaxy movie, who do you think should be Trakeena? But when we ever see this new actress play her in a film, I know some, nostalgia farts of fans will say this actress will never top Amy role as Trakeena. And Amy played Trakeena best on the show. What makes you think this actress for a potential Lost Galaxy movie reboot if ever in the future will top her? Well, knowing darn well Trakeena is a lesser known villain, so in pop culture, and the same go for other Power Ranger villains outside of Rita and Zed. So I just wanted to expose Trakeena more and put her out there more, as opposed to what we already had. Because it seems like when people think Power Rangers, and I've been saying this a lot everywhere in public, when a lot of people think of Power Rangers, they always think about Mighty Morphin and then the villains from their era, like Rita and Zed, obviously. But when you think of all the other villains they had in their respective seasons, like Divatox, Astronema, Rancic, Lothor, Mesogog, Venjix, so forth. It's like nobody cares about those villains. They think they're not really part of Power Rangers because, general public, I get that. And it's been bugging me even ever since when Saban got Power Rangers back, and then we had all this sense of Mighty Morphin nostalgia. It's really been bugging me. But I just really wanted to see if somebody should play Trakeena in a Power Rangers Lost Galaxy movie. So having Maggie Sif's likeness only, but not really in the actual thing, because I can't pay her. Because if you look at her net worth, according to, if you Google search Maggie Sif, if you look at her net worth of how much money she made from all the shows and movies she was on, including Sons of Anarchy, she has over like $6 million or whatnot, and her net worth is so expensive. So at this rate, where the hell was going to pay her for this shit? I don't got the money to pay those real life actors to be involved in this stuff. That's why I did the puppet for a reason. And I think deep down, for anyone who is a fan of the character of Trakeena in terms of Power Ranger villains in general, I just think casting Maggie was the wrong decision, because I don't think, after seeing her in Sons of Anarchy as Tara, who, by the way, we know who Tara Knowles was on that show, and Wendy Rhodes, the therapist / dominatrix, whatever character Maggie plays, that makes her comfortable. But I just think Maggie was too, her using her likeness, despite how she is in real life as an actress and on screen on the stuff she's actually officially on. I don't think she'll be worth for the task to be in anything based on a 25-year-old television franchise, if we ever actually have a movie about this season for real by Hasbro, and if we ever do have that Power Rangers film franchise over at Paramount instead of Lionsgate. And if we ever do get a Lost Galaxy reboot movie for real in the future. And I just think that this is just the worst thing I've ever done. Fan casting Maggie Sif, someone we know or don't know. I mean, yeah, she's a great actress, but to be honest, though, I just only cared for Maggie only for her likeness, because I wanted to see her as a Power Rangers villain. I don't just see her as that fucking Tara Knowles character that, it's just, I don't get what was so great about Tara, to be honest. So fuck Tara. To me, Maggie's a great actress, but I just don't like the character of Tara. Wendy, I haven't watched Billions yet, so what do I know about that? All I know from pictures and all that stuff from what fans posted online about her. But it's just, I'm going to regret casting her as a over-the-top, skimpy, evil, gothic-looking version of Trakeena, and with an actress who's mainstream, is more of a drama club type of actress, and you think she'll ever suit this material that's considered too silly for more sophisticated audiences or actors and such to understand. And much like, I'll take a word from Brock from Megaforce about this. It's far too complex for someone to understand. Or something like that, whatever. Far too complex to understand. Or is it... fuck it. I haven't watched Megaforce in a while. I don't think I even want to watch it again. Yeah, and then as for the other fan casting choices, I just think that the castings of the other characters, the ones that I just brought on brand new. Now, about that other Pink Ranger, guys, the Siri character, the second Pink Ranger, the only reason okay, you see, I did that in the wake of the fact I was all over actress Kristen Milioti. If you guys know who Kristen Milioti is, she was obviously the mother on How I Met Your Mother, and then also on dozens of other stuff. And also recently on that one-off episode of season 4 of Black Mirror on Netflix, where she said something about her, something I can't say on a Power Rangers related YouTube channel, but quote, famous, internet breaking, quote she said on that episode of Black Mirror. But again, it's just the only reason I did that second Pink Ranger with the likeness of Kristen Milioti was because, well, I was in the phase of liking her. And yeah, she's an adorable looking actress. She's 30, but she's so adorable and gorgeous looking, despite the dewy-eyed look of her and whatnot, making her like a modern day Jennifer Love Hewitt of our generation right now. But it's just, I was just under the impression of that because you see, for those with the fan casting about my first Pink Ranger of the Marshverse with Katie Cassidy, currently Laurel, the Black Canary, Black Siren on Arrow and the Arrowverse on the CW. It's just, I like Katie Cassidy, but when I did that fan casting for my first Pink Ranger for the Marshverse of Lost Galaxy, But then when Kristen Milioti came to mind, because you see, I was just watching the final season of How I Met Your Mother. And then, of course, yes, her short-lived show she had on ABC, not ABC, NBC, A to Z, and then also whatever episode, how many episodes she was on the second season of Fargo. And then, and then the movie she was in, like Wolf of Wall Street for a short brief of time. And movies like Year of the Carnivore and It Had to Be You and Breakable You and those movies like that. And, I just thought that, I thought Kristen Milioti was that choice, that fan casting choice for my second Pink Ranger. That anxiety driven Pink Ranger character who has anxiety issues, social issues and stuff like that. At least I didn't make her a damn lesbian, or anything like as opposed to Becky G. But hey, I mean, Becky G, her version of Trini, LGBT, first ever LGBT, character in film and first ever LGBT Power Ranger. Even though Trini in the original Mighty Morphin series was never LGBT, that would have been like Billy's actor in real life. And, again, I just thought that, I was really going for Milioti's likeness for that Pink Ranger I did because I thought she would be it. Now, in terms of the fact that, about the sense, if this is a fan film thing of Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, about the Ranger characters and their names and backstories and personalities and who they were on the show and stuff to film. You see, what a lot of people don't understand what I've been doing with these fan films is, if this fan film or other ones that I've done so far were in the same universe as the TV show and all Power Rangers history, if I had Milioti as Corone, but with blonde hair, have blonde wig, have Kristen wear a blonde wig, or Katie Cassidy would be Kendrix, and Wes Bentley was like Leo, and Brandon Routh was Mike, and Don Cheadle was Damon, and have an Asian for like Kai and a white woman to be Bridget Regan as Maya, then it just would feel like Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, that kind of like the character casting. But I just didn't want to do those names again. I didn't want, if I were to go with the names of the original Lost Galaxy Ranger team of Leo, Damon, Kai, Kendrix, Maya, Mike, and later Corone for the second Pink Ranger slot. And if I did new versions of those characters for these two fan films and so forth, and if I gave them new backstories and personalities to fit this universe that I'm trying to make of Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, and if it's like a cross between the TV show and this thing I was doing, and if I gave Leo gave Leo a personality that didn't act like anything Danny Slavin's Leo was like, or a new personality for Kendrix that was not like Valerie Vernon's Kendrix from the TV show, or a new version of Maya that didn't act anything hardly like Serena Vincent's Maya, then a lot of you Power Ranger fans, and especially fans of Lost Galaxy, when watching these two films so far now, would be in droves, in which you did, apparently. And then if I went with those names of those Rangers, but slapped their names onto actors that partly look like them, but don't, partly, resemble who those characters by their race and backgrounds are, and they don't act nothing like those characters, but that they would not act like that. Now, as for Kristen Milioti, you know how she is really in real life and as an actress. She can be a little bit snarky and snooty at times and about being private and all that stuff, because knowing her, she's a Jersey girl. But, if I, had Kristen Milioti as Corone and slapped Carone's name on Kristen Miliotti's likeness, and made Carone, instead of her being that bubbly, lighthearted sister of Andros, the Red Space Ranger, who was previously Astronema. Can you imagine if I fan casted Kristen Miliotti as Astronema, and God, how snooty and snarky I would make Astronema with her face on it for a paper doll, So, and again, if this fan film was in the same universe as all Power Rangers and its actual series counterpart that these films are based on, then yeah, and then have ties to In Space like Lost Galaxy had in the show itself, with ties from Countdown to Destruction, and then when the Psycho Rangers came back, Space Rangers, so forth. And, I just felt that it just wouldn't feel right, because, you see, it worked on the TV show and all the history of Power Rangers, but in my standalone Lost Galaxy stuff, which I've been trying to tell everyone on this channel, and for some of those small known who didn't know about me about this in the fan film now, I just didn't want to copy what they've done already on the show. So I have to do... So this version of Lost Galaxy for Power Rangers fan films and fan fiction, I wanted to do my own thing with it. Don't completely beat for beat copy what was already done, even though I did pay some homage and adapted some scenery that happened on the show, but then I altered and half-assed it, in which I did. And that's one of the reasons why I think some of you guys are upset with the changes. And if you were hoping this fan film was going to be a faithful adaptation of the following episodes where Trakeena became the main villain, and then if I actually did through the Psycho Rangers and the Space Rangers meeting my Galaxy Rangers, and then my first Pink Galaxy Ranger with Katie Cassidy's face on it dies, and then Kristen Miliotti's pink face as that next Pink Ranger comes. No. See, I just didn't want to do it. I just didn't. But I'll give you this though, guys. So deep down though, in final thoughts, I should be grateful that I finally put out this fan film, but it ain't gonna be up on YouTube for long, because I can tell now. Check Video Manager. There's gonna be some copyright claims, I bet, and now, deep down, it just wasn't, despite of all the hard work I put to trying to make the rise/wrath of Trakeena all decade of the 2010s long in this fandom, this very Power Rangers fandom community and fan film communities as a whole, I think deep down, this was a very divisive fan film in my opinion. But I do think that, I actually do like I do like this, Power Rangers Lost Galaxy fan film I just made over my last one. At least I did improve on some quality stuff like green screen, special effects, because I know the last movie, the original cut of it that way, that piss poor version of it from 4 years ago, for those on Ranger Board and stuff like that, and here on YouTube on this very platform, they called the film out a joke because of what I did. I bet you, say what you will, this recent film I put out now, that especially when I worked it so hard on, is a joke. Go ahead, say what you want in the comments, but I tried. But deep down, I do like this fan film of Lost Galaxy I did better than my last attempt of a Power Rangers Lost Galaxy fan film. Although the names of the Rangers, in terms of the likenesses of the following actors slapped to the puppets, are not the names of the original Rangers. But, and especially, I think deep down what I've done to Trakeena, reimagining wise, for an alternate dimension, Lost Galaxy thing, I think deep down I really ruined Trakeena's character to an extent, a lot, and I know a lot of you guys are pretty mad about the things I did to her, changing her backstory, her relationship with Scorpius, and so forth. And there could be some ways I could repay the fans if I ever do Trakeena again, but right now at this state, even at the time of this vlog, I know it's been going on for 2 hours now. Forgive me, guys. I know you guys don't like watching long videos, but because I know I like to talk. I like to talk a lot because I don't have nobody to talk to. So, I just think, let's just say, put it this way, for this movie and the last one, I think deep down I have been trying way too hard to do a reimagining, reboot of Power Rangers Lost Galaxy. And I think deep down that's why I had fans, those who came across my stuff in the fandom, when they hear about this fan film stuff, it's like, once they see this stuff, it's like, this is crap. This is nothing like the Power Rangers Lost Galaxy I grew up with. Well, it's fine. It's not supposed to be like that. I mean, I know I did this. Basically, I think the whole time I did this in the last one, I basically did this in the last movie out of nostalgia. But for all the wrong reasons, though. So, I know I may have hate then, and I may have hate for this now, but I think deep down, on a personal level, I just really didn't live up to how I wanted the film to be envisioned. I mean, the movie's not meant to be perfect. I mean, it's not meant to be, whatever you expected the film to be. If it was, I mean, yes, it's Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, so when you think about Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, you think about characters like Leo, Kendrix, and Maya, and Trakeena, and Scorpius, and all those characters. And hell, and also Idris Elba's likeness as that commander of Terra Venture. I didn't want to call him Commander Stanton, because if I slapped Commander Stanton's name on a character, blank slate puppet character, who is the commander of the Terra Venture in this universe, with the face of actor Idris Elba on it, and if Idris Elba, if he was Commander Stanton, and Commander Stanton was black and not a white man. Knowing the actor who played Commander Stanton on Lost Galaxy, part of the crew of Terra Venture, the space colony, Commander Stanton was a white man, not a black man. So I'm glad I didn't want to call, what I had Idris Elba's face on that character, Commander Stanton, because then you guys will call it, whitewashing. Just like already with my version of the Blue Ranger, not Kai Chen, of like, suppose if I whitewashed Kai from being an Asian to a white Jewish guy, if he was the Blue Ranger. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I just didn't want to go with those names of those characters. But see, I just wanted to do things different from what was already done and what's done in there, done and done. So yeah, like I said, I think deep down, The Wrath of Trakeena is better than my last Power Rangers Lost Galaxy fan film, but actually deep down, it was not very good. And as for that cliffhanger ending, guys, and spoilers for that one, that cliffhanger ending with me reusing footage from Super Mega Force's legendary, the introduction of the Armada, featured from Gokaiger. Unfortunately, since we're in the day and age of Hasbro now, since Hasbro has Power Rangers, now I think deep down, thinking about that footage that I just reused from Super Mega Force with the X-Borgs marching in and make it look like they were marching on Terra Venture attacking. I think it's just way too late for me to do my own version of Super Mega Force and Gokaiger nowadays. I should have did my own version of Gokaiger before Saban did Super Mega Force. It's too late. It's time to move on with Hasbro and what they got in store for Power Rangers now, since they have the rights to both the show, the toys, and everything about Power Rangers now. So at this rate, Power Rangers Lost Galaxy 3, if I ever will do it or not, I think I'm just going to have to scrap all things related to Gokaiger based on what I teased at the end of this movie, and come up with something more original for my final installment of the trilogy. Since the Armada, that's already been done in Super Mega Force. Potential Legend War, but only with Lost Galaxy Rangers. Sorry, we already had a Legend War fucked up in Super Mega Force, but done glorious in Gokaiger. So unfortunately, it's too late. I spent all decade dick writing about Trakeena as a fanboy, and obsessing about Trakeena. And after all the years, I obsessed about fan casting, trying to find the right actors to resemble the character and such. Over the last 8 years now here, it's too late for me. So I don't know if I want to do Power Rangers Lost Galaxy 3, the Trakeena spinoff, or what, So the future is at hand now, since Hasbro has Power Rangers now. And I can't believe throughout when we had the Neo Saban era, and when we had the shows for the Neo Saban era, and when we had whatever Saban was putting out for the comics, the toys, and that movie and stuff, and when other indie Power Ranger fans with their fan films of MMPR, Power/Rangers, and so forth. And while I was the only fan that nobody wanted to deal with, I think it's too late for me to do Gokaiger in readaptation within a fan film of Power Rangers, or even during a Lost Galaxy film. But that was the original intention. So I think all plans of me redoing Super Megaforce and Gokaiger within a Lost Galaxy film, the next one, is scrapped. As of right now. I'm calling it now. Because we already had our 20th anniversary celebration of Power Rangers, but it's too late. It's way too late. We're already right now, 2018, our 25th anniversary. That's if Super Ninja Steel will ever acknowledge the 25th anniversary or not. But I just think of all the years I've wasted in this fandom, doing this fan film about something Trakeena, Power Rangers Lost Galaxy fan film, whatever, by Anthony Mars Jr. since 2010. Even though this film, like I said from that video that I said about such and such in 2015, will it succeed or fail, which I already deleted though, if it was my redemption, my salvation from before. You decide if I succeeded then before or not, or if I failed this time and I'm like, okay, I did 2 movies so far and they both sucked, so therefore I'm done. So, but anyway, what do you think of that? So I would like to thank you guys for listening to what I think about my own fan film of recent Power Rangers Lost Galaxy: The Wrath of Trakeena on this channel and vlog. So at this rate, the door is open for future possibilities. What I should do now, since after all, I've wasted 8 years of my early adult life, after spending eight years of my life, early adult life of the 2010s, on this fan film, thinking about how I was going to resurrect and reimagine and revive Trakeena in a current climate, status with Power Rangers within a movie or something fan made. How was I going to do it? So what's there to do now? Well, that time will come, my friends. So let me know what you guys think about what I said in this video. I know 2 hours is a bit much as opposed to the 3-hour fan film I just did, which is pretty much a staggering, eyesore for some. But hey, I did it. So what you going to do? And what you're going to say? So this was Anthony Marsh on PRLostGalaxy2014. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.